Louder than that. All hail Zuckerberg.
All hail Zuckerberg.
Thank you. Scaring the guests.
I'm just gonna head out.
Goodbye. All right. It won't look like we're on, but we will actually be on. So I think we are there. And let's do that. And we are on. All right. Let's record this. You never know when we have to go back and have that little talk with everybody. Well, we got it recording. We're on. We're on Facebook, I think. Let's just check. We are. So this is not Whiskey Wednesday. No, you have not traveled in time. It is Malt Monday. It is the beginning of Go Whiskey Week. And how do we set that off? Right. All right. I love nothing more than a feisty crowd. All right. Well, how do we start it off? Irish whiskey. Why not? We're in New England, right? We're in Boston, right? Time to get the Irish on. We got Maeve Gleeson is here. What's your title?
I'm the Irish whiskey brand ambassador for Pernod.
She's it. The it girl is here.
I'm a big deal.
She's kind of a big deal. Small package, big deal.
There you go.
She's going to be leading us through our tasting tonight listen, this is an elevated tasting of Redbreast and friends. Because when we started going over this with Mike, what we were going to do for the tasting tonight, he says, if we're going to have people come out on Monday night, we got to make it big. And boy, did he deliver.
I'm telling you.
And I don't even want to say the lowest mark that we have on the table is a 15-year-old Redbreast. That's insane.
The lineup is pretty special. Even when I heard about it, I was like, wow, it's not every day I get to sample such like a wider range of like our top brands and top SKUs.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, so let's get started. Let's kick it off because we've got a lot of whiskey to go for. Mike wanted to I said you can do up to 8. He goes, yeah, we're doing 8. Here we go. So we're off to the races. Johnny's changing everything up over here. We're going to start off with, why don't we start off with Jameson 18? Non-chill filtered, 46% ABV. All right. What can you tell? First of all, we probably should give a little background information on the distillery. I don't know if everybody understands that Midleton, Redbreast, and Jameson, same distillery?
Same distillery.
All right. Different ways we make it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So there's different crafts that go into it depending on the distiller's decisions, the master blender's decisions. They all really, really play into it. But I think that's what makes everything really, really unique. And something that I think is really fun as well on Midleton Distillery in County Cork, there's actually a part of the distillery that we like to call the distiller's playground, where they're always coming up and trying.
Is that like the devil's playground, only cooler?
It's pretty cool. I've been there. But it's essentially where they're always playing with new flavor profiles, wood types, new distillate forms, flavor profiles. It's always changing, but that's where we get a lot of our innovation and influence from. Okay. So all under one single distillery, which is super unique nowadays. We've never gone into mass production to keep consistency and quality standards. So if you think of just Jameson alone being the #1 best-selling Irish whiskey in the world, and then all the other brands that come alongside it that we're about to taste today, they're all made in one singular place in the small island of Ireland where I'm from. So every single drop that's in front of you has been made there. Every drop that you've ever drank has been made there. And I think that's really, really special and does account for a lot of the quality that comes with these whiskeys.
I think it's funny that we're only doing one Jameson tonight, really.
I know.
And it's the 18.
You're starting off with a bang. I love it.
All right. So tell us a little bit about the Jameson 18-year-old, besides the age, because we're not ages here.
No.
We like it. We just like good tasting whiskey.
Yes.
So tell us what goes into making the Jameson 18.
So the Jameson 18 is in one way a tribute to some of the kind of oldest distillates of the Jameson range and the oldest kind of forms of the liquid. But it's such a special one, and I'm so glad that we're starting off with it. So it is a blend of 2 different types of whiskey. So we have pot still whiskey, which is a traditional style to Ireland, and then we have grain whiskey. The main difference is pot still is made from malted and unmalted barley that's triple distilled in a copper pot still. And then the grain whiskey is malted barley and maize that's triple distilled in a column still. They both get matured then in a ex-bourbon barrel and an ex-sherry cask. So we're getting flavors from the bourbon barrel of, say, vanilla, caramel, toasted oak, those type of things. You'll see that play out throughout the range.
Are Are they taking like the pot still and doing bourbon and sherry, and then taking the grain and doing bourbon and sherry?
That's a great question. So pot still is matured in both bourbon and sherry casks, but then the grain whiskey is exclusively matured in a ex-bourbon cask. So that doesn't touch the sherry cask. So I'm glad that you touched on that. But yeah, essentially they get matured in those for about 18 years, almost 2 decades, you know, and they pull actually the best of the best that they have. So there's kind of 3 different styles within those, and they're pulling the absolute pinnacle versions of those. They're then being matured in the ex bourbon and the ex sherry, but then the magic really happens at the end when they get married together, and then they're finished in that ex bourbon barrel for anywhere up to like 10 to 18 months. So you're getting a real full-bodied whiskey here. The grain whiskey adds a lot of creaminess to the liquid, but also you're getting really nice creamy vanilla flavors, toasted oak. A lot of people get a little bit of hibiscus kind of spiciness as well with it, but a lot of toffee and toasted oak. I'd say they're going to be the main flavors that you're tasting. Are we good to go tasting now?
Oh, they're probably already finished.
Oh, amazing. Are we done, guys?
Oh, by the way, save a little bit of the 18. I'm just teasing you. I'm just teasing.
Yeah, so feel free to give it a taste. Feel free to let me know what you think. I always get people who debate what I say. I always get people who agree with it. There's absolutely no wrong answers when it comes to what you're tasting and what you're smelling yourself, because I can't debate that, you know. But as long as you're having a good time and enjoying what you're sipping, I'm happy out. I do recommend that you do give your whiskey 2 sips, just because the first time you do sip a whiskey, generally your palate is adjusting that little bit, and you'd be surprised what flavors open up that second sip.
Yeah, we always go through that. It's always 2 sips on any new whiskey.
Absolutely.
Do not judge until your second sip.
Absolutely. And I think when you actually do realize the difference, it is mind-boggling to realize how your actually palate is warming up to it. Also, don't forget to sip on your water between it, because clearing your palate will really help you appreciate each flavor of every expression. And we want to get our full value here.
We always say, I always suggest people add a little bit of water, no matter what the ABV is. Add a little bit of water to the whiskey to open stuff up, whether it's a couple drops. The other way around that is to actually sip the water and then drink the whiskey, and sort of let it get that extra water, because that's oxygen, in your mouth, rather than that. That way you won't change your sample set.
Yeah.
That makes sense? No. Huh? Ryan, what did you mean? No, but this is but what I like about this one, and this is probably a good time to bring it up, since the 18 does have grain whiskey, and a lot of times what's really funny is grain whiskey gets a bad rap. It really does, because a lot of people are like, oh, it's grain whiskey. That's like throwaway. That's filler. That's this, that's that. When you take grain whiskey and you age it for 18 years,
Yeah.
there's some great flavors that come out of it. I mean, if you go fast and heavy and you're doing a 3-year grain whiskey, okay, it's a filler. But when you're taking something like that and you're aging it for 18 years, that creaminess that you talked about, that really starts showing up a lot. And they're so beautiful, aged grain whiskeys, when you start getting like over 10 years old. They're so beautiful that I think that just gets a bad rap.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like grain whiskey, especially within the Jameson portfolio, is really appreciated. And we do really like to kind of give it its moment. And that is because of the texture it adds. So everybody in front of you actually has a triple triple. And I know that you mentioned you were meant to have a black barrel. So just touching on the grain whiskey within Jameson, for about 2 weeks a year, I'm imagining it's increased since they've released the triple triple. They actually shut down the distillery and focus on making a special batch of grain whiskey that uses malted and unmalted barley. So we actually don't use the maize for that version. So we only focus on making that. That was originally introduced to the black barrel, which gives it a real silky taste. You'll notice that it coats your palate, coats the inside of your mouth, and will linger a little bit longer as a finish. That was so popular, they actually have just extended that to the triple triple. But I think it just gives tribute to how much Jameson has actually appreciated and wanted to actually elevate the grain whiskey scene within its whiskies, because it really does have a very vital role to play within the whiskey world. And with the triple triple, a lot of people say to me, "Oh, this is a lot smoother than the Jameson original or the other ones." But in fact, Irish whiskey smoothness comes from its signature triple distillation. So what you're really picking up on there is that silky texture that the grain whiskey is adding for you. And I think, again, touching on how long they've put into this grain whiskey and how much craft that's went into it, you can really see how that's elevated the drinking experience for the 18.
Well, that's what, we talk about that all the time to people, and we always go like, oh, I don't like the term smooth. It's really a silkiness. It's really a mouthfeel that you're talking about for the most part. The other people are talking about is not being overwhelmed by alcohol, which is a different subject.
I would say that's more touching on like maybe the approachable side of it. Yeah, like because Jameson is meant to be quite a light floral kind of approachable whiskey, and they want to keep that throughout the skews. But I do agree with you. Smooth really should just relate to the kind of sipping experience and how it feels in the mouthfeel.
Well, we're yapping about it. What do you guys think of it?
Yeah, let us know.
18 okay?
We're not letting them get a word in.
I know. Anybody have any questions about the 18? What's that? What was that one? Is there more?
They're looking for a little
Yes,
extra.
you can buy a whole bottle of it tonight, sir. And then we'll come over to your house. I like that. 46. I tried to mention at the beginning, but it's 46.
Yeah.
All right. It's not a bad way to start the evening. Huh?
I have to say, you're starting on a high, like, but I promise you, it's not going downhill. So you've got a great evening ahead of you.
All right. Well, let's speak of which, let's go to the lowest denominator in the evening, which is so stupid, and it's 15-year-old Redbreast.
Wow.
Which is actually one of my favorites. I love 15-year-old Redbreast.
Yeah, no, 100%. The Redbreast range, all in all, is one of my favorites, and it's really soaring at the moment. It's the most awarded single pot still whiskey in the world at the moment. It's the fastest growing brand within this category. So, keep your eyes peeled. This brand, while it's booming right now, it's set for even bigger things in the future. And that is just down to it literally selling itself. If anybody in this room, and actually I'd love to see a show of hands, is anybody never tried Redbreast before? Wow, nobody. Okay.
I think this is why they're here. I'm just going to point this out. This is a Monday night.
Yeah.
There's like 65
That was
people
my
or
bad.
more, almost 70 people here tonight. You don't just fill a room with like, Redbreast? What's that?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll go. I guess I'll go to see that, that taste.
Yeah.
These are people that they've already drunk the Kool-Aid, so to speak.
Okay.
You know what I mean? The Redbreast. But they've already drunk it, but they want to find some new stuff in there. What's that? Before noon. I never heard of Redbreast before noon.
Okay.
You broke the cardinal rule, John. You have to start drinking in the morning. If you want to drink all day. All right.
Yeah, no. I always ask that question because I love to see, and you're lucky if there was one person in this room who stood out, I would pick on them. So I'm glad that there's nobody that I get to bully today.
Oh, we'll pick on somebody else. Let's pick on him.
I love to see people when they try it for the first time because I really just do feel like it speaks for itself. But it's a brand that I'm super proud to be kind of over here representing as well, because it's one that I've kind of known and kept my eye on as I was growing up, and became my dad's Father's Day present, birthdays presents, Dad, I'm so sorry I messed up presents, all along the way. So
man owns a lot of Redbreasts.
Oh, he's got a lot throughout his days. I've had a lot of apologies to make. Yeah. So but
he opens up the closet.
Yeah, no. So just a really, really great brand to be working on. And I suppose before we get into kind of the actual whiskies itself, I think it's cool to know that they actually originally started off as a wine importer, which I think really does influence the kind of sherry wine finishes that they did eventually go on to. They then became known for their whiskey that they renamed Redbreast, and I'm thankful because I always get a bit tongue twisted on what it was known as, which was W&A Gilleby Castle Whiskey. So say that 5 times fast.
Redbreast.
There you go.
I got it.
So they did end up renaming it because a lot of people in Ireland at the time were actually illiterate, so they couldn't read, and they used to describe the bottle on the back bar. They used to say the red bottle. But also, one of the founders was an avid bird watcher, and the robin redbreast that you'll see across the whole range is the only bird that not only does not immigrate Ireland during the harsh winter, but actually sings its way through it. So it is a drink of celebration, and it got through the hard times of the whiskey world and made it out the other side. So that's kind of the pinnacle of the name and where that came from as well.
That's cool. I never heard that. That's
yeah,
awesome.
no, it's a really nice story, I think.
Who has anybody not had the 15 today? John, you can't tell the joke twice. All right, so try the 15. Let's try it.
Yeah, let's go.
So I will tell you guys that this, because I think it's on this too.
So one thing I will notice with the redbreast, because you're gonna
92 proof, 46.
You're gonna see a lot of age statements here, and one of the biggest misconceptions with redbreast is that, say, this 27 is the same as that 15, just a little bit longer in the cask, when in fact there's so many differences in the craft and the distillation and the blending process that go into the actual flavors that comes through. So for example, with the 15 compared to the 12, it is a single pot still whiskey, so we no longer have that grain whiskey. It is matured in bourbon and sherry casks, but the main difference is they use a larger proportion from a refill cask. So this gives it a little bit more of a spicier, peppery almost notes on the tongue, but you're still getting those kind of orchard, oloroso, fruity notes coming through. So sláinte everybody, which is the cheers in Ireland. It also means good health, so we're trying to let you know that whiskey's good for you.
I'm going to give you the New England seal of approval. That's not bad.
That's not bad. I think we could be more descriptive.
No, that's it. I'm sorry. Moving on. No, of course not. Of course we are.
This is a really, really special one. And what I do find just from speaking to people over and over again is people who tend to be like, oh, I'm strictly like a bourbon guy, or I like only drink bourbon. But they're looking to branch out, or a bit of a curious consumer. I'm assuming all of you are open to the Irish whiskey community, considering you're here. But if you are more palatable, except that guy. We're just trying to pick someone out. But if you are more palatable to a bourbon, I think a lot of people, your palate will resonate a lot more with the 15. And that's not to say that it tastes like a bourbon, but the flavors and aromas that come from it are often more appreciated by someone who has the palate for those kind of flavors with a bourbon. Does anybody have any thoughts or opinions on the 15 they'd like to share? Anything they picked up?
Do you like it? I get a lot of head nodding.
I'm getting a lot of smiles, head nodding.
Listen, if you get a whiskey and a smile, that's pretty good.
I'm happy with that. I'll take that, to be fair. Yeah.
That's really nice. I think it definitely has a super long finish too.
A really nice long finish. And I think the copper pot still spices come through a little bit more in the 15 compared to the 12. I know we don't have that in the lineup today. But that is just from the refill casks as well, allowing that to come through. But a real kind of peppery, spicy finish, but allowing those flavors to really kind of marinate in the mouthfeel.
I think in the side of the core lineup, the 15 and the cask strength 12 are my two favorites.
Yeah, the cask strength is a great one. Kind of, I feel like overlooked sometimes by the general consumer. But the cask strength just really gives the amplified flavors from that 12 as well. So if you ever do get a chance to try that, it's just taken directly from the cask, but real Christmas cake orchard fruit flavors from that 12-year-old. And then the cask strength is amplified absolutely 100% on top of that.
Yeah, I mean, I just love the brightness of the whiskeys so far, and Redbreast really throws that out there. It's got a bright feel. It's not cloying at all. There's some great flavors. There's some great flavors you can explore.
Yeah, I know.
You know that keep changing as you have a bottle open.
I think,
or it might be me. I'm not sure.
No, but I think it's a really cool thing about the brand is like, even though there's different age statements that have different craft behind them and have different flavors, like we're going to go through the Missouri Oak and the PX. They've done so much like innovation and partnerships with this brand, and I think that really goes back to kind of the core values of wanting to be like community support, and like really amplify other businesses and amplify other partnerships.
Yeah. Well, the next one we're going to try is the 18, and we don't get this too often.
I'm so glad that 18's on the lineup. So I like to say Redbreast almost
get 46% ABV, so 92 magic numbers. So magic numbers is if anybody, does anybody know what I mean by magic number? Okay. So 46 is 92 proof, right? At 92 proof, you typically do not have to chill filter your whiskey. The sort of the fatty acids will stay in suspension for the most part, so you'll never get cloudy whiskey that way. I also like it because it's 92 proof. I can bring it down myself if I want to a little bit, or I can drink it at 92 because it shouldn't be overwhelming. It's not like 120 or 130, or I showed somebody today 140 whiskey. So you know what I mean. So but the biggest thing is that you don't have to chill filter, and these are not chill filtered. So and it's one of those type of things that, by the way, if you do see a whiskey go a little cloudy, do not worry about it. You can ask, look at the ABV, feel the bottle, see how cold it is. It just means it's less processed. You know, what they do is they chill the whiskey down to a certain temperature when all that flocculation will happen. Those, like when you make soup, all right? You put it in the refrigerator and then you get a layer of fat on the top, right? Next day you take part of the fat off, but you never take all of it off because you can lose flavor and mouthfeel. It's the same thing for whiskey. You really don't want to get all that off because it's not so much always a flavor thing, but it usually ends up being a textural thing, leaving those fatty acids sort of in the whiskey. So that's why I like 92 and above, but 92 is sort of that little magic number.
Yeah.
So
amazing.
18.
So guys, the 18 is actually one of the newest releases from the Redbreast range. So we got a little confused along the way because we released the 21, the 27, then we went back to the 18. Yeah. But we made it there in the end. But I was actually really lucky.
Somebody didn't know how to count.
Yeah, no, someone got a bit confused along the way, but I didn't ask any questions. But I was lucky enough to be in Ireland, in Midleton, up in Cork, for the launch of the 18. Really, really special event. A lot of work has gone into the 18, and I think for those who've tasted it already, you're going to really notice a different flavor profile, and that is because we've added in additional casks here. So we have added the normal ex-sherry, ex-bourbon cask, but on top of that now we've added a cream sherry cask, giving it a lot more sweet, and then we also have ruby port casks introduced here as well, which actually hints at the flavor profile from the 27, just at kind of a little bit age. So we like to say that it's all the flavor, just a little bit more added kind of maturity for the 18. So really, really special release, one that they were working on for a really, really long time. And I think part of the influence that went into behind adding, like, say, the ruby and the cream was not only to get a little bit more of sweetness, a little less more of the tardy dry flavors that you get from the Oloroso sherry, but also to bring the magnificent flavors that you will luckily get to taste in the 27, but bring it down to a little bit more of an approachable price point and a little bit more available to the general consumer.
I mean, this is like the finish on this one. You get that sort of like, I don't know. It's a definite candy. I'm just trying to pull it in. Yeah, panettone. Yeah, something like that. You're right. It's like a creamy candy.
Yeah,
that's sort of the, I was gonna almost say like a butterscotch without the scotch.
Yeah, I get it. You get a lot of kind of the vanilla notes come through as an undertone, but something that always comes through for me is that cream sherry cast, just giving it a more candied finish. And I think it's probably the unprofessional way to describe it is of more of a sugary taste than, like, say, the drier flavors that you get with the Oloroso. But I like to say a lot more summer berry than orchard fruit when it comes to the 18. It's like a succulent
taste.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really good.
Really, really nice.
Does anybody else get that, or you guys got that? What do you think? First time having the 18? Yeah, pretty much, because you can't get it. Everyone's like, yeah, it is. I'm like, yeah, because
so that was launched just in September.
Yeah,
so it's super new to the market.
We actually got a case of it just before, I think it was like, it had to be around Christmas time. Mike, did we get this around Christmas time, the 18? Yeah, it was OND. Anybody know what OND is? That's, in our term, it's the end of the year. October, November, December, OND. So usually in that thing, if something's going to pop and they're going to send it to the U.S., they do it just before Christmas because it's magical, because then they can sell it. But we went through this pretty quickly.
We are pretty magical in our
Yeah. Fiona's Lock, you ever read that book? No.
I haven't, no.
Yeah.
I'll add it to my book list.
Yeah, it was just for kids' book. That's how I used to read it to my daughters.
Oh.
St. Patrick's Day.
Okay.
It's an Irish tradition that we have in our own
Is it an
house.
Irish book?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all
Okay.
about the luck in Ireland.
Oh, we're very lucky.
Yeah.
In fact,
You have 18-year-old Redbreast whenever you want it.
exactly. All Redbreast is a single pot still whiskey, and you might not know this, but pot still whiskey in one way kind of came about as a bit of a happy accident, or some should say, luck of the Irish. But do many people here know a lot of Irish people? I feel like there's a lot in Massachusetts. Yeah.
I think we have a higher population of Irish here.
I'd believe it. I've only been
Not
here
real
a couple
Irish, but related to Irish heritage, I should say.
I've only been here a couple hours and I've met a few Irish people. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty impressed with that. But if you do know any Irish people, you'll know that we can be a little bit rogue. Just in our traditions, we like a little loophole. We like to push the buttons a little bit. Do things we're not maybe meant to do, but we could somewhat get away with. And if you do know any Irish people, you can probably. I'm seeing a few people nod heads here. Um, but that's kind of actually how pot still whiskey came about. So the Irish government got a little bit greedy on the boom of the Irish whiskey industry. They decided to put a tax on the malted barley. So in rebellion, we found a loophole and decided to do a bit of a mix of unmalted and malted barley. And to their surprise, people started to prefer it. Sales skyrocketed and they did a big ha-ha to the Irish government. But ever since then, traditionally, pot still whiskey has been used a mix of unmalted and malted barley. So you could say we are quite lucky in Ireland because we try our luck and we still get out the other end.
And we're thrifty.
We're thrifty.
We're a thrifty lot.
Yeah.
Why pay the government tax?
No.
Never.
Hey, it worked out in our favor.
It did, absolutely. Well, in this case, it really did because this 18 is delicious.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really special one. Like I think this is already just launched in September, and my numbers could already be wrong because I try to keep up with it and I can't. But it's already been awarded 3 different medals for its single pot still whiskey, and it could be more at this stage.
I can see why. Really good. I like that one a lot. All right. So now we're going to jump up to 21.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. Did anybody get that reference? No one got it, right? Jump up to 21. Thank you. 21 Drum Street. Thank you. My dad jokes are supposed to be hitting. Again, 46, magic number. 21-year-old single pot still Irish whiskey. This one is, tell us a little bit about this one because this one is age different, right? On different barrels?
So this one still just uses Oloroso and ex-bourbon, Oloroso sherry casks and ex-bourbon.
That's Oloroso for you that speak the frickin' English.
My pronunciation.
Say aluminum.
Yeah, aluminum.
Very good.
Everybody just asked me to say like 33.
23?
33. That's what everybody asked me to do as an Irish person. Anyways, yeah, the 21 is really special because it uses only first fill casks. So a majority of like Jameson, Redbreast, we would use a mix of first fill and second fill. And then even for the 15, we use a higher proportion from those second fill casks. But you're really getting an embodiment of those fruity and vanilla spice flavors with the 21. So it's aged minimum 21 years, but can actually range up to 27. And that's the same with all of those. Those age statements, as you probably know, are the youngest that the whiskey inside of it is. But the 21 is really, really cool expression, but it's also one of the Redbreast ranges that is made in one of the most restricted quantities. So when they released it in the States, I know they upped the production line on it, but for a while there, it was quite hard to get your hands on. It still isn't too easy to come about. But yeah, 21 years minimum, first fill, bourbon and sherry casks. So real full-bodied, full impact flavor with this one. A lot of people get with the 21 more kind of toasted oak flavors just because it's sat in those barrels a little bit longer. But before I give you kind of the notes, I'm interested to hear because I actually get a lot of debating notes when I taste the 21 when I'm doing it with tastings and things.
Okay.
I get a lot of contradicting opinions. So I actually want to hear from you guys first on what flavors you're picking up or aromas that you're picking up. Again, no wrong answers. Unless they're wrong. No, I'm joking.
Unless I don't agree with them.
Yeah.
What do you guys get? Anything? Berry? Red berry? Chocolate? No. Yep. Chocolate nib? Yep. I get that too.
So that's one of the most common ones that I receive. Yeah. And I really taste the kind of chocolatey undertones to this one.
Anybody else want to pop in and give their opinion? Sure, I'm talking to you over here. You give me opinions all the time, but I ask you out here, nothing. But berries and
Berries
cream.
and cream, yeah.
The cream part of that is really important too. That red dragon fruit, papaya, and guava. Okay, some tropical. There's definitely some tropical. You know what's one weird thing for me is having the 21, because I've never had the 18 and then the 21 together, right? Like right next to each other. And I think the 21 is in a lot of ways, a more complex whiskey.
Yeah.
This is sort of weird. No one has any 18 that I can go back and try. I know that already. But did you know? You did. Very good. You get an A. Give her a star.
Someone get her a prize.
Did you guys notice though, like when you're tasting that? We talked about the 92, right? 92 proof. Did you notice though that the 21 hit warmer across your palate and into your gut?
It's a little hotter.
Right? It shows a little bit hotter. Not in a not crazy, not in a bad way. You know, like I always say, you know, it stokes the fire but doesn't choke the chimney.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? But you could definitely taste that warmness, and you can feel it feels like it's got more ABV in there. There's more proof in that one, but it's not. It's the exact same proof, and it just because I want you to remember that whenever you're tasting whiskey, is that sort of feeling doesn't necessarily directly link to the proof of the whiskey.
No, absolutely.
So I always find it funny, like when something's it's a good time to show it when it's exactly the same.
Yeah, no, and it is. And I often find the longer a whiskey is aged, the more of those copper pot still spices come through. So I definitely think that that's what you're kind of tasting on the tongue. But also when it sits in those Oloroso sherry casks for 21 years minimum, you're really getting those fruity flavors that have been there for quite a while, and they do end up going a little bit more on the kind of soury side, which complements those copper still spices to make it a little bit quite spicy and hot, like you mentioned on the palate, but it lingers that little bit longer, and you definitely can still feel it. With the 21, the main thing I always notice with it is the finish on it almost seems like it's going to be there forever. It's a real long-lasting, probably the most long-lasting finish of the Redbreast range.
And I get graham cracker.
Graham
Anybody
cracker?
ever get graham cracker?
It's a new one.
Like that little spicy graham cracker, maybe that in between that and an Odie cake. But it's sort of like that graham cracker sort of shows to me.
Yeah, no, I can see it now that you said it. I've actually not heard that one before.
Oh, that's leading you down the Brimrow Pass. It has no graham cracker whatsoever. I just wanted to see if you agree. No, I'm just teasing. It definitely does. It does have, for me anyways, it has a little bit of that graham cracker on the finish.
Yeah.
So it is a long finish though.
Really long finish. Definitely the longest of the Redbreast range. So a really, really kind of core one and a real premium version that they've released.
You know what's funny about this?
What?
We were sitting here and we're talking about all these whiskeys, and I know like there's several people out there are going like, okay, shut up and get to the 27.
I know. Well, I trained.
Let's talk a little bit more about the 21 though.
Yeah, no. Should we take a break for a while?
Yeah, we're halfway through. And now for these commercial messages.
There you go. Our sponsors are
Our sponsor is Icelandic Water, official water of Go Whiskey Week.
There we go.
Thank you. That was actually a pretty good segue. It worked out well.
That was on purpose. We rehearsed that.
It is. We rehearsed the whole thing.
So I trained in the Irish Whiskey Academy, and I always tell the story when it gets to the 27 because before they told us anything about any of the whiskies, they lined them all up and made us blind taste them, and they asked us which was our favorites, and there was 14 of us, and all of us chose the 27. So they told us we'd very expensive taste, and I don't blame them for that one. But
they were missing the bottle at the end of the tasting.
Yeah, no. We did rob it at the end. But
I knew that was going to happen.
It is a really, really pinnacle edition of the Redbreast range. I think it is one of the most special that they've kind of released, and one that has been so popular, and again why they wanted to bring the flavor profile of the ruby that's in the 27 down to the 18 just because it was so popular. They wanted to extend that to an additional SKU. But that is the kind of core difference. So there is 27 Ruby Port, 27-year-old Ruby Port casks like influencing this on top of the Oloroso and the ex bourbon barrels with the 27. And then again, minimum 27 can go up to about 32 years within that bottle. So you've got, years of craft, years of distillers watching over day and night, waiting, anxious. To get a whiskey to that standard at that age takes down.
Not getting into this age range though. You also started to worry about how much whiskey is going to be left in the cask when you get there.
Yes.
I mean, 27 years is a long time.
You lose 2% of a cask every year due to angel share.
53.6 ABV, just in case you guys are wondering.
Yeah.
That would give us what, 107.2? So, and by the way, I'm just going to say they rigged it for you guys. And when they ask you which one was your favorite, throwing Ruby Port in there would pretty much do it for anybody. Look at if you guys did you look down at your tasting mat when you started the evening just to sort of see the color variations that you got going on there? I mean, number 5, and if you went up, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you got to the 27, you knew like just look at the color of that, right?
Yeah.
It does have a slightly red hue.
Yeah, I was just about to draw attention to the color of it. It's a very, very deeper color, and that is influenced from the Ruby Port, but also then the duration of age. But also with this, tasting wise, I always think you can't deny the kind of fleshy fruit flavors that come straight away. There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you. Batch 5.
Batch 5. So now we have to go 4, 3, 2, 1, and we gotta get all those. We have done this before, and we did batch 4. So if you've been following along, we've done 4 and 5. And we've done 4 last year.
Oh wow! Okay, you're experienced. Anybody?
Yep,
anybody?
That's us.
Back
Experienced
after doing
drinkers.
Those last year?
Almost professional.
Oh, there's a few who've returned.
Yeah. No, we did not have the 18th.
Yeah, that was only launched in September. So if you did, you would have robbed it from Midleton Distillery.
Who's got the dun 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 dun?
Yeah, we need some sound effects.
Yeah, we need some sound effects.
Get some people laughing for my jokes. Oh,
crickets.
There you go. That's more of a representation, maybe.
I'll give you the official sound effects of all right, here we go.
Go on.
There you go.
You're killing me, Smalls.
Do you know that movie?
No.
You're killing me, Smalls. You don't know that? Can you guys hear that one out there? Yeah, okay, I just want to make sure. This is actually my daughter's.
Are you with me? Yeah.
No, not that.
I like that.
Is my daughter's actually recorded that for us because they say it all the time. They live with me. What can you expect? All right. So, 27 years old, right? What do you think?
Wow, and nodding heads.
Johnny says he wouldn't kick that out of bed. How about if it had crumbs? Would you still keep it? All right. Yeah. Even that. Cold feet. Sure. All right. Still keeping it.
Passion fruit? Yeah. It really plays into the kind of orchard fruit flavors, and that profile can go that way.
Passion fruit, is that what he said?
Yeah.
Yeah. It lingers. It does have a long finish. Although I think you're correct. I don't think it has as long a finish as the 21.
No. So in my opinion anyways, I think the 21, if I didn't sip water there between them, you would still be tasting the end of it. I think the finish seems like it will linger forever. But the 27, I think still has quite a long finish, but a little bit less.
But it's more powerful up front.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot more
more
kind of a burst of flavor
yeah.
initially. But it is down to kind of the oil content of the distillate that's going to give you that little bit of a shorter finish, but by no means is it a short finish whiskey.
No.
Yeah.
In comparison, but usually you're not trying them. This is so sad. Usually you're not trying the 18 and the 18, 21, and 27 side by side. Well, maybe at your house, Steve. I don't know. Maybe, but green tea. Mm-hmm. A little stringent, and then you're getting a smoothing out at the finish. All right. That's valid, definitely. I think so. I'm not going to disagree with you on that one. That's good. I know. Well, we're going to start mixing them. If I add 21 and 27 to that, it goes. Oh no, never mind.
You're going for the master blender's
The
job.
master blended. Yeah, of course.
Well, when I first heard about the master blender job, it reminded me of when you were younger and someone told me I could be an ice cream taster when I grew up. They get to nose and taste whiskey all day. Who created that job? Imagine seeing that job description and going, "Yeah, that's for me."
The person who thought of the person who thought of that came up with that job.
Yeah, that you know what? That's fair. I've heard rumors their noses are insured.
Yes,
Yeah,
a lot
so-
of them are. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it's very important,
Yeah,
especially in a time of COVID.
that's
right?
true. Yeah, that was a scary
Right?
time
It's
for the
scary.
whiskey world.
Scary for a lot of us.
100%.
You know, all of a sudden, this is what your sort of main, you know, how you make a living, and you could be down and out. And if it comes back, is it going to be the same as when it before?
You never really know.
So you never really know. So
Yeah.
that was the scariest part for me. It's like losing
Mhm.
that sort of sensation. And I had a good friend who's a chef that happened to.
Really?
Yeah, she gained it all back.
Okay.
But when she first started getting it back, her family said stop adding salt. She couldn't taste salt. She
Oh.
would keep adding it. So, but yes, that is a scary thing. All right, the next one is the Missouri, right?
Yes, this is the Missouri
Or
oak.
Misery.
No.
No, it's Missouri. Okay.
Missouri. So this I think is really special and unique, I suppose, to you guys over here. So this is part of our American Oak series. And this really range was brought out because of how popular the Redbreast range became in America, and we almost wanted to say a thank you. So you cannot get any of the American Oak series in Ireland. So it is
We've gotten
made.
phone calls.
Yeah.
No, we've gotten phone calls
Really?
from Ireland
Asking?
asking us, will we ship it back over?
Did you do it?
No, this is ours. Screw them. You know how many they get? They're always getting ones that we can't get.
Yeah, we do have a lot that we
Dreamcast,
don't
I
give
may
you.
say, just put that out there. Dreamcast, but they get all sorts of stuff. And I'm like, you guys get yours, we get ours. This is how it works. If you want to bring some of your stuff over that we don't get, I'll be happy to share ours with you. But you just
Yeah.
get our allocation and ship it back to you guys? No.
Yeah. So it's funny. Well, that would be going back and forth
I'm
because
greedy when it comes to whiskey.
you gotta remember it's all made in Ireland, and then we don't sell any of it there. So, but brought all the way over here for you guys. But obviously it is a partnership with like a Missouri oak. But essentially it is matured in ex-sherry and ex-bourbon barrels before married, and then finished for around 10 months in a virgin Missouri oak barrel that's been hand selected. So there's only 60 barrels every year for this, and that's all they produce. And also the wood comes from within 100 miles of Missouri. So a really, really cool, I think a really, really cool collaboration done here.
Yeah.
With this one, I get a lot of kind of toffee and then spicy oak notes with it. But a lot of the wood characteristic really does come through, and that is because they use again a little bit more proportion of those refill bourbon and sherry, and that is because they want a lot of that Missouri oak influence in the whiskey. So they've used the refill casks just to allow those flavors to really kind of take over the liquid. So yeah, give it a go, guys.
You guys, this is the first one I get. You guys like this is the first one of the whole lineup that runs down the side of your tongue. Do you feel it on the side of your tongue? Sort of like concentrates there, right? I mean, I haven't tasted that with any of the others that we've done tonight. So that's that wood spice.
Yeah.
Runs along the side of your tongue.
It's a little bit
It's
more.
very sweet, yeah. Very sweet nose. No,
Yeah.
no, you get, yeah. No, definitely. Fruit cup. You know when you open up a fruit cup? Apricot, yeah.
Apricot is one of the main flavors that I pick up with the Missouri oak. Some people pick up a little bit of mango.
There's some tropical flavors going on.
Tropical flavors going on as well.
Or a fruit cup. You probably don't have those. You have the fruit cups that you open up, and it's got all the different
We have
fruits.
a variation of them.
Yeah, that's what that one tastes like. That's okay. It's good. I like it.
It's nice. So this one is.
The question was, how old is this one?
How old is the Missouri?
Sorry. I'm repeating it for everybody.
Yeah. So
We
for
went
the
through this at
Missouri
the
oak.
beginning that I would have to do that. All right. Okay.
For the Missouri oak, it is non-age statement, but generally we would say that the the pasta whiskey's been in there for anywhere between kind of like 15 to 18 years, and then the finish is about 10 months. So it really can vary with this one, but it is up to the kind of master blender's decision at the end of the day and what they're going to pull. That's why there is no age statement on those ones. Yeah. The Missouri oak.
How long in the Missouri?
Oh, 10 months. 10 months finished in that Missouri oak.
Really nice.
Really, really good
And different.
one. Very, very different kind of flavor profile. And again, like just a tribute to kind of one of the biggest markets that drink it. So I think that's like a really nice acknowledgement kind of from their part as well. And this was the second in that series after the Kentucky Oak. So a real nice one to be tasting, but definitely one of the most popular from the range.
Did anybody have the Kentucky Oak?
Oh,
What you think of that one? Good? You liked it? Good. Do we know what the next in the series is going to be?
Not at the moment, no.
We don't have to like torture or anything. Are you going to tell us what the next series is? She knows.
I've signed an NDA.
Yeah, well, we have ways.
I'm gonna.
You think you're getting out of here that easy? Yeah. All right, go ahead. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Why are the age ranges separated the way they are, like by 3, not 4, not 5?
You mean by like there's no pattern between them and kind of things like that, or? Yeah. So the main difference is instead of being like say 4 or 2 or whatever in between, is that they not only like there is differences in the craft of them, of course, but they don't want them to be anyway like similar to each other. So if it was just a year in the difference, there would be quite a similarity. For example, the 21 is made quite similarly to the 12, except that it only uses first fill casks. So if there was one that was say like a 20 or a 19-year-old, they could be quite similar in taste profile, and they really want a distinct.
I know, but here's the big thing is that's a tradition, right? It's sort of become tradition. Usually, I mean, we used to have 8s.
Yeah.
We used to have 8s. 8 was a good whiskey. You have 8, 10. You have 8 and 10s. 10s still show up. Okay, 10s. But most of the time it's 12, 15, 18, 21. If anybody does like age statements, that's usually with the weird one in the group is the 27.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 27 is an odd number because usually the next number is 25 or 30. 27 is the one that sort of splits the difference. But it's more of a tradition thing than anything else. And none of these sort of age ranges even came into play until I'm not going to get into a bunch of history and whiskey, but the whiskey lakes and when they had aged stocks, because before you used to buy like, 8s, 10s, 12s were up there. 15 was a lot of times the oldest you could get because they just sold enough whiskey that you weren't getting stocks older. When they had this sort of backup, they ding, ding, we can sell whiskey now at older age statements, and that we're going to say that's a sign of quality. And it does have that in it, but it's not the end-all, be-all. A number on this box is not an end-all, be-all. And I'll prove my point is because they don't use all 18s. They don't use all 15s to make the 15. They don't use all 21s to make the 21. So they're blending to a very specific taste. They just have to put the number of the lowest one on there.
Yeah.
Okay. So if 21 was the end all be all, there would only be 21s in there, right? But there isn't. They use other ages to sort of make that up. And that's why when you see like a non-age statement whiskey, they're going for a flavor. And wherever the master blender can get that flavor to make it up, whatever type of focus he wants to put on or she wants to put on it, such as the oak or whatever, they're going to pull stuff that will do that. Well, I'm not going to be stuck behind a number. If I put 12 on that, now if I want to use that 10 because I know that 10 will make it better, I can't use it? No, that's stupid. Don't do that. Listen, there are also other people out there who will put no age statement in it's all young whiskey, and there's some people that like to take everybody's money. I'm not going to say that there isn't that out there, but for the most part, for good quality companies, that's not their goal. Their goal is to sell whiskey because you like the taste of it, nothing else.
Yeah.
Right?
And because they are pulling from like a blend of like, say 12 can go up to 16, they don't want an overlap, I suppose, of those flavors. And that is exactly what you were saying
Yeah.
there. That just because the age statement is on it doesn't mean that's all that's in it. It's just the youngest that's in it. And it also, when the 27 being so random, it comes down to the master blender's decision. They're looking at what they have.
Right.
They want to produce something good. They're finding that 27's their cutoff point. That's where they're going from. They didn't want to include a 25-year-old. They said that needed a bit longer to kind of go. So they really do have the ultimate decision, and we like to say they're quite stubborn in their decisions. But for a good
Well,
reason.
they're Irish. Of course they are.
They're pretty big celebrities in Ireland because they're responsible for all this. So, but yeah, great question. But mainly a lot of things trend, no overlapping of kind of flavor, and then also just the master blender's decision is kind of what it comes down to.
Very good.
Yeah.
Any other questions on those? You want to chase the next one? Sure. Why not? Why the hell not? Right?
They're looking
looking-
thirsty. They're doing that thing again where
they're
they're
doing that
like,
thing
"All
again
right,
'cause-
come on."
You can tell like we're up to like some stack their glass. You can just watch how they do stuff. Like some keep a little bit of everything, and there's other people that stack their glasses, and the other people just totally wipe everything out. I think
People are savoring
they're
them
too
for
ahead.
the
I
end.
think they're too ahead already.
Yeah.
No, I listen. Everybody's got their way of doing things. The way I say is, everybody always asks, "How do you taste whiskeys and how you do stuff?" I go, "Whatever more comfortable for you. As long as you do it the same way every time, you'll always get good results. As long as you do it all the same way every time. I don't have to look what you do. Whatever. I look at some of you and I know what you're doing, trying to get to the point. But anyways, number 7.
Number 7.
PX cask.
The PX cask. So this one, I'm so glad that we're sampling it today. So this was released as part of our Iberian series. And it was originally released as a limited edition that eventually people were just crying out for it, that we had to make it permanent. But I'm assuming you all know what PX stands for. Does anybody want to shout it out? Pedro Jimenez.
Postscript.
Yes. There you go.
No?
Yeah, no. For all you listening in, we held it up in a sign. But I actually had someone the other day say that they thought it meant pretty excellent. So
that's not that way to think about it.
No, and I was like,
Pedro
I'm gonna claim
Jimenez.
it. I'm gonna claim it because it is pretty excellent as a whiskey. But yeah, the PX essentially was a partnership with Pedro Jimenez Cooperage, like Bodega. PX is seen as one of the most finest editions of sherry, made in sun-drenched bodegas for real kind of a sweet finish on that whiskey. But a real popular collab. A lot of people taste a lot of kind of syrupy flavors with this. A little bit of zesty citrus as well coming through. I get a little bit of salted caramel at the start that mellows out into the kind of the more sugary sweet things. I've had some people say they don't get that at all. I've had some people who pick it up straight away. So it does depend on the palate. But I'm interested to hear, like, is anybody getting any of those flavors coming through, or is anybody tasting anything completely different? Feel free to shout out what you're experiencing, guys. Yeah, salted caramel. I get a lot of that.
It goes into like this big red fruit. I mean, it's prunes. Yeah. No, absolutely. Prune or a lot of times dark honey is another one that pops a lot of times when you start getting into that range. Very what? Creamy. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's got a good mouthfeel to it. It
the
really
mouth
does.
is almost a little thicker, like a syrup.
Yeah.
Like not too
It's
syrupy.
viscous.
Yeah. And a lot of people get a lot of maple or honey, just like you said, that come through because of that, I think, as well. But yeah, it's matured in bourbon and sherry cask, and then it's finished in the PX cask. So a really, really cool addition to the series, and I'm so glad that it got added to the permanent portfolio. But it was really one that was like a non-negotiable. People loved it. It was one of their favorites by a mile. So it kind of had to be released as a permanent edition, or we would have been in a little bit of trouble, I think, from the public.
Even though it's released as a permanent edition, it's not always available.
That's true.
So we
like to
take
keep
that
you
with a grain
guessing.
of salt, is that it's not always available. So if you do like it, I would tell you, if you see it, it's one of those things you probably should pick up.
Yeah, the allocation on it can be hard to get sometimes because it is so
It isn't
popular.
always on the shelf.
Yeah.
And that's not our problem or even our wholesalers' problem. It's a supply issue. which is not a bad thing to have,
No.
you know, on something like this, you know.
Yeah, no, and
It keeps the wanting there.
with a lot of the Redbreast range, they actually partner with a lot of bodegas around Spain and Portugal, that actually wouldn't be fully able to run without the sponsorship from kind of Midleton Distillery. So, you know, there is only a certain amount of
They get
supply that we
Lustau.
can get. Yeah, the Lustau, just like a ton of different ones. We partner with Antonio Paea's cooperage for a lot of them as well. But
Can I give a PSA? You know what PSA? Public service announcement.
go for it.
All right, public service announcement. You need to drink more sherry and more port.
It is important
So
for the
it is
supply of
very
whiskey.
important for whiskey. If you like these flavors, you know, make sure you're picking up. Matter of fact, on March 8th, we're doing a port and stout festival. So you may want to go to that and try some ports, because port's another one that that a lot of people love in their for their whiskey finishing.
Absolutely.
You have to go out to tiny little stem glasses. Well, go if that's floats your boat, yeah, let it go right ahead. We're just more interested in that you're drinking it,
Yeah.
not how you're drinking it. The only approved glassware, the only approved glassware is actually that the distillery approves of is the bottle that it comes in. Just so you know. So if you drink out of the bottle, don't feel bad.
Back
home, what is the number one bestseller?
Bestseller, probably the 12. That's where you'll find it on every single back bar. You'll find the 15 quite often. It's when it gets kind of past the 15 that it's harder to find. You know, the 21 was originally released quite limited, like limited quantity, and then it is kind of that little bit more pricier for someone, say, to be buying it in a bar or for a household. But the 12 and the 15 are really popular sales-wise. In terms of profile-wise and for a whiskey collector, I would say the 21 and the 27 are up there. But the 18's really starting to kind of come through in that thing. It is new, so it's hard to predict the trends that way.
Yeah.
But
It's delicious. So.
yeah, it's really people are loving it. And that's another one that's quite hard to get your hands on sometimes. So.
Yeah. All right, then the next one that we're gonna do tonight goes off the beaten path that we've been going down.
Yeah.
And this is the 2023. 2024 has not hit our shores yet.
No.
So everybody keeps asking. It has not hit the shores yet. Enjoy the 2023 because it's actually quite good. And it's number 8 on our list.
Yeah, so we've come to the end. If you had one of those like sad sound effects, that would be the time to play it. It's okay.
That's it. I don't think
they can do it for us. But yeah, so the Midleton Very Rare, essentially the concept behind it is that this is the ultimate expression of Irish whiskey. We really wanted our master distillers to have kind of an expression that was unique to them. So it is really their passion project. They essentially look into their garden and pick the best flowers, and that is what they are doing. The pickiness that goes into it is insane. They hand select the casks of grain whiskey, of pot still whiskey. So we are back to a blend now. So all the Redbreast range is a single pot still. This is back to a blend. And then they're matured exclusively in ex-bourbon barrels. So really, you're going to get a lot of the vanilla flavor coming through, a lot of the oaky flavor. I think this one, for me, has the most oak influence. But then what I get a lot is a bit of a chamomile, hibiscus influence as well with this one.
Chamomile tea.
Chamomile tea, yes. But feel free to give it a sip. Sláinte, the last one of the range. I'm a little sad about it. This is, again, back to kind of the core values of Jameson of being a real light and approachable whiskey. Again, there is no age statement on this, but it can be anywhere up to like 32 years within the Midleton Very Rare. It is released every single year, a new edition, like you mentioned. So this is the 2023. They will vary in differences, but the concept overall is the same in production. Right. But it is down to what they select and how much they blend of what type of whiskey. I don't have the ratios. For some reason, they won't give them to me. I think I'd be a millionaire if I knew them, but they won't let me know on the exact recipes for some reason. But yeah, the Midleton Very Rare is a really special bottle.
I go get the whiskey to make the ratios. That's what always kills me. Like, they're like, well, what's the ratios? Well, I'm not at Midleton. There's no way for me to actually to do that. You know?
Yeah, no. I mean, the equipment alone is crazy. Has anybody been lucky enough to go to Ireland and see the distillery? Yeah, we've got a few. It's a really cool experience, and if you ever do get to go, you should. To see actually where they distill it, you can see old records from when they used to handwrite the little percentages from the distillates, like insane stuff. But they've all preserved it. They've the biggest pot still that's ever been in production. It's not in production right now, but it still was the largest that was ever used. Wow. So really, really cool thing. But the Midleton Very Rare, as I said, it's the pinnacle of Irish whiskey, the best of the best. They are using what they have to make the ultimate expression of a blend whiskey. That's pot still and grain.
What do you guys think of this?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's hard to come back off of like, these sort of I mean, the Redbreast line has got some flavor bombs in there. You know what I mean? And it's difficult to come, but all of a sudden you realize when I come back to this, I also realize the elegance of it too. Mm-hmm. It's elegant. Yeah, it's lighter, but it's lighter, but not less flavorful.
No, absolutely.
There's a lot going on in this that you can explore too. Granola, I get oat cake. I get like that oaty cake. I get granola. I get honey. Yeah, honey, citrus, sort of those flavors. But it's deeper than that too, and there's a lot to explore there too.
I also think it's great when you come off a line of pot still whiskies to actually think for a minute about the mouthfeel of when you're back to a blend. So, you do have that reintroduction of a grain whiskey, which is going to give a very different sipping experience. So some of you, I think, like when you go back to it, you almost go for a minute like, oh, very, very different to a kind of more pot still style.
That's great.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I'm interested to know what your guys' favorite was.
Well, we're going to do that.
I'm getting ahead.
Jumping ahead.
I'm sorry.
Damn.
I'm going to have
to get to the end. We're enjoying ourselves. All right. 8. You can raise your hand for more than one. Because I have to say that because they will anyways. It's a roller coaster. Ready? Yeah, it's a roller coaster.
Just keep them up.
Keep them up. 18. Okay. 15. Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. All right. 18. Yeah, that's going to be a pretty popular one. 21. Nice. 27.
Oh, a lot of hands. A lot of hands.
She was
smiles.
way too enthusiastic way back then. Yes. Buy me that one.
Maybe
that's
we should start like the Mexican wave or something like that.
Right. How about the Missouri? Missouri Oak was pretty good.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah. And how about the Midleton Rare? Yeah, see, I love the Midleton Rare too. I think that's a really great whiskey.
It's a really good
solid, really good whiskey. And you know what it is? I think that draws people back to Midleton Rare. I think it's probably we had some great flavors going on here, which is awesome, and I do like them. It's probably the most balanced whiskey.
Yeah, and
the balance of that whiskey is incredible.
The Redbreast range generally is a more sherry-forward pot still whiskey, so
there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying.
Probably is something that kind of comes into play there when you say that.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what? I hate to say it, but that sort of ends our first foray into Whiskey Week. You guys don't go anywhere.
Start. Thank you. Thanks for being such a great audience.
Great presentation. It was really good. I'm going to stop recording this because we're going to say stuff that we don't want anybody to hear. I'll stop that. And we're going to get off Facebook. Hey, everybody on Facebook, you can always go to It's the Liquor Talking. This, my cousin Vinny will get this up on podcasts probably tomorrow, maybe tonight. I don't know. It depends on how busy he is. But you can get it there. Also on YouTube too. Now, I guess we're everywhere. And he's working on some stuff to do it on, I guess we're doing it on Instagram too. So you really should have been here tonight because it was quite spectacular. Maeve was great. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.